And I usually respond back by saying it works for us because we have very different lanes of the business and very different strengths and skill sets. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. I am so happy you're here with us today and so happy that I brought along a very special guest. Excited to have my business partner, life partner, cool dad, fun guy, all the things joining us here on the podcast. So Jeremy Launder, thanks for being here.
You bet. I'm excited to be back. First time on the live video. I like it.
If you were in this room about 2 minutes ago, you would see him making fun of me in my prep that goes into before I push the record button. So this is going to be a fun one. I can't wait for it. And we're cozy. If you're watching on YouTube, you can probably see that we are shoulder to shoulder sharing a mic up close and personal. This might be awkward if I have other guests joining me in the room, but we're just getting cozy today and excited to share all the things with you.
Yeah, it was a little bit easier when it was audio only because we could just take turns diving into the microphone and diving out.
Yeah.
But we're figuring it out.
We're figuring it out, 1 week at a time. I think the first couple of podcasts we recorded on video, we found out later that we had a microphone setting wrong. And so it was only playing in one ear if you were listening on AirPods. And so we had to do a bunch of processing. And I was like, doesn't the audio sound great? And I'm like, oh man, well, we're living, we're learning, we're figuring it out as we go. So with that said, today, we're going to give you a little behind the scenes look of how we work together, which is a question that we get a lot, not just from our students and our community and those in the business world, but we also hear it a lot from our friends and our family. My favorite question is, all right, so you guys work together and you still like each other?
Yes, constantly. It's you work with your wife? How is that possible? I could never do that.
I never could do that. That would not work out for me. We hear that all the time. And I usually respond back by saying it works for us because we have very different lanes of the business and very different strengths and skill sets. And we've learned a lot about each other and kind of grown together over these last few years of working full time together. But now we're going to reveal it all here in this episode.
Sounds good. Let's do it.
You ready for it?
I'm ready for it.
Okay, take us back then. Let's talk a little bit of history. And full disclosure, we have a workshop coming up here at the end of August, which is going to be so good. I cannot wait for it. It's all around how the industry is changing, a little behind the scenes of how we've leveraged digital marketing in our business. We're talking about different skills and tools that you need that are must-haves as we're almost rolling into 2025. I feel like I'm already in next year mode. But really excited for that. And we're going to share our full story there. But give us just the quick Cliff Notes version. So when did we get started? When did you leave your full-time job? Like, what did you do before you worked with me? Do you even remember? Do you miss it?
Sometimes I dream about it.
All right. Give us the scoop. Give us the history.
Yeah. So the business as it exists right now, it really started in 2017. That's really when we started doing online courses, the online learning, group coaching, all that kind of stuff. But prior to that, I was working in the defense industry as an electrical engineer. So that's what my background's in. I have a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering. I went to UC San Diego. That was actually where we met. So yeah, I worked same company in the defense industry for 15 years, got a job there straight out of college, was, kind of working my way up, was into essentially like middle management. It was a really, really big defense contractor, like $10 billion company. They were huge. And then I was supporting our business kind of nights and weekends and stuff, helping out with the tech.
It was like the fun hobby for you then.
Yeah. Because, I had my job, was doing that, during the day, and then would come home, help however I could, whenever I got back. So yeah, it was kind of like a side hustle hobby, at that time. But we had always talked about, when it got to a certain level, I'd step out, work on it full time. Like, just having the time freedom, all that kind of stuff was, very appealing. But I was I'm like the very conservative one. I like my steady paycheck when I was, have my job, money was coming regardless of whether we got customers or not. So, stepping away from that was definitely a nerve-wracking thought, but it was exciting too.
Yeah. So that was 2020 when you left electrical engineering. And keep in mind, 2020, right? Everyone around us is like at home on lockdown, distance learning. Things were wild and crazy. And timing wise, it just worked out. There was some big things happening at his company. There was a merger. Things were moving around. And so it was an opportunity really to step away. But the rest of the world was like, are you insane? Are you insane in 2020 leaving your steady, fatty paycheck as an electrical engineer to go work with your wife in her online business?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, definitely got some questions and strange looks when I was talking about how I was leaving my, my
cushy
career.
Cushy.
Yeah, my cushy job I've had for 15 years, what I went to school for, to go work in this online business.
Yeah. Okay, so now it's been 4 years that we've been working together, almost exactly. It was July 2020 when you stepped away from your job. And so it's been a little bit of a wild ride in terms of our business and kind of different directions that we've wanted to go and twists and turns along the way. But for those that might just be tuning in that don't get to see you on camera very often because you actively avoid it, why don't you tell them what you do in the business today?
Yeah, so I'm primarily handling the tech. So I'm doing all the web development, anything tech related, the software, the email, all that kind of stuff. And then up to just a couple months ago, I was handling all the operations too. So we have the project management tool we use is ClickUp. So taking all our projects, planning them out in our project management tool, assigning them to the team, staying on top of things. But yeah, we recently brought on an operations manager to help out with that. So it's been a huge help. Shout out to Joanna, because like my kind of baby, some of you that have been following us know about, but it's called Oh My Hi, which is, essentially a website builder to help people, easily create websites and get their online presence started. We launched that actually a few years ago, but I haven't had a ton of time to work on it because I've been involved in all the other stuff in the business. So now that I'm not really doing much on the operations side anymore, I'm, getting to work on that.
Which is fun for you.
Very much.
And there's a lot of titles you didn't just include, but I mean, you review all the contracts, all the legal, you handle all the finance, all the invoicing, all the P&L. Like, I mean, there's a lot beyond that. All the hiring and like the operations manager role, you were in that world for a little while. And so most everyone knows what I do. I mean, I'm front facing, content creation, sales, marketing, client delivery. So we really do have very separate lanes of the business, and we couldn't do it without each other. And I mean, I would just have to marry someone else or hire somebody else.
Money to get somebody to do it.
So it works out well. But I think a lot of times when people say, "What, you work with your husband?" they imagine us like sitting at a desk this close together all day, sitting down, collaborating in meetings together. We actually just have one meeting per week that we're in together. And that's our team meeting on Tuesdays with our larger team. And of course, we have a lot of conversations around the kitchen table and, at kids' activities or driving in the car. So in some ways, we try to set some boundaries, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But we have meetings like 24/7. We're always talking a little bit about business, maybe too much. We've had to create some rules like don't talk about business from the bedroom. That's been a new rule that we're like, okay, drawing the line there. No business goes in there. So yeah, it's been great though, having a chance to work with you.
No, but I mean, it really is like we have a separate office space now, which is also helped a little bit because it's kind of like I'm going to work. And it's like, I'm going into the office, which is attached to our garage. So, but it is kind of like, all right, work gets done in the office and, we try to step away a little, from it a little bit when we go back into the house. So that has helped. But it is like we have desks on opposite sides of our new office, and like Becky's on calls probably, 4 hours a day or something. So I've got my headphones on and I'm doing all the computer work and stuff. And in that sense, it's almost like any other job you would go to, like you have two coworkers working in different departments, like they don't
Yeah.
really talk to each other all the time, just when they need to collaborate. So, during the workday, we're kind of like not talking to each other that much, really.
I have so many jokes right now, but in this situation, we go home together too. So
It's true.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about how we structure our day, because I know a lot of people know our family life. We have a 9-year-old, we have an 11-year-old. They're very actively involved in sports. We're very actively involved in their lives. Jeremy's coached both of the kids in baseball and softball pretty much since they were able to play when they were 4 or 5. I just finished up 2 years as our PTO president. Jeremy hangs out with the dads group. They call them the Gecko dads. Our mascot's the Gecko. And so we are very involved in the kids' activities and sports. So why don't you speak a little bit to how we structure just our day-to-day schedule?
Well, so are we talking right now in the summertime, or are we
No,
talking during the school year?
We'll go there next. Summer's been a little chaotic. Let's talk about like a normal, we're almost to back to school time. So let's talk about during the school year.
Yeah, so during the school year, it's a little bit more of a regular schedule. So it's definitely easier on us, but also a little bit easier on the kids. But yeah, Becky's normally doing drop-offs and I'll do pickup. Drop-offs it's going to be a little bit different this year because we got Mackenzie going into middle school. So we're actually going to have drop-offs at 2 schools. But yeah, so
we digress. We're both like, 2 drop-offs. But we have a carpool.
Yeah.
So glad to have lots of good friends.
So I think we'll keep that. You're still going to do drop-offs in the morning.
In the morning.
And then I do pickups. So drop-offs are 7:30-ish.
Yeah.
And then pickups, it's going to be a little later for middle school, but 2:33, somewhere around there. So like core working time is really essentially 8 to 2:15, somewhere around there. So we get, a good chunk of dedicated time during the school year where kids are out. It's quiet around here.
Except Wednesdays. They get out at 11:30.
That's true. They do have, half days on Wednesdays. So that's pretty much the work schedule while the kids are in school during the week.
Yeah, we pretty much work when they're in school. And we try to stick to that. There is definitely some afternoons that one of us have projects we're working on later or calls that we have to take later. We've really tried not to go back to work in the evenings. That's something that we used to do pretty much every single night. I think we've gotten a little bit better at that. Not perfect. There's definitely times to push that we're working later. And I think having the separate office space, at least for me, has been really huge because it's a very conscientious decision to go back to work later on in the day. That means I got to walk outside, go into the garage, go upstairs, turn my computer on, be away from the family or anything else happening inside the house. So that's definitely helped a lot. But that said, there's definitely times that we're like, okay, work party. Let's go upstairs and have a margarita and finish up an hour or 2 of work in the evening. But try not to make that the best practice or the norm on this schedule. But there's been times for that too.
Yeah, I was just going to echo the office space definitely helps because it's like, is it really worth going up there to do an extra hour of work? It can just wait till tomorrow. So when it was our old office was inside, essentially right off the living room, and it looked out onto, where living room was, TV and all that stuff. So it was really easy to just go pop in there, jump on the computer and be like, I'm just going to check email. And then, an hour and a half later, you've sat down. And so having the separate office space has really helped with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the best part of working together.
Best part?
The best part.
Of working together or just,
Of working with me. No, really. I think, the beauty of being in business together, right, is that we can juggle both family life and work life.
For sure.
We have we try to on Sunday nights just kind of map out our week. And a lot of time it's like, I got an appointment in the morning, can you do drop off? Or, we got, this kid's got basketball. Well, this one has softball. How are we splitting up our time? Or, it's a half day this day. How can I jump in and help? And I think especially this summer, I know we kind of avoided the summer question. Maybe we'll save that for challenges. But, it's important for us to be able to communicate and be able to flex things. But I've always said that when I got started in direct sales, my goal is to be able to drop off and pick up my kids every day. And now
Yeah.
I love that I only have to do one of those things, but they aren't going to an after school program, or they aren't going to, friends' houses. We're able to kind of be the house that everyone comes and hangs out at. And it's pretty usual that we have a house full of kids, not just our own. But I really feel like that's how the business supports the lifestyle that we're in right now. And I see that as the best part.
Yeah, for sure. I thought you were talking like having our own business. I mean, I was gonna
backpedals.
I was gonna go to the time flexibility anyway. So yeah, for sure. I mean, think about, well, you said you were gonna save the summer talk till later. So I won't talk about that right now. But yes, I had a decent amount of flexibility when I had my corporate job, but there were still expectations that you were gonna be there certain times, and there's just not as much flexibility, right? I don't have to ask somebody to take off early, or, when I'm going to get my vacation or whatever. Like, we just decide when we're going to do it. So I never had we have practice at 3:30 sometimes. It would have been really hard to make that if I was still at my corporate job. But
or you'd be starting your day at like 6:30
yeah,
in the
or
morning.
I'd start super early, or on days we don't have practice, I'd stay late or whatever. So now I just kind of get to flex my time whenever. And I really don't miss any kid activities or anything.
Yeah. We could also talk about workcations, because that's definitely been a trend over the last couple of years, which I kind of have a love-hate with. Like, I love that, last summer we were able to bring the whole family with us to Orlando, and we did Disney World, and we went to Canada, and we got to go see Niagara Falls together. And then this summer, we left the kids at home. Thank you to all of our family and friends that helped out. But earlier this summer, you and I went to DSA Canada together. And that was pretty fun. It was beautiful, Niagara on the Lake, wine country. Like, it was kind of like we were on a work date together. That was a lot of fun. And then we just got back from Vegas. Yeah. And so I worked for a couple of days, and then we celebrated Jeremy's birthday and had fun for a couple of days too. So it is nice to see that we can blend both work and personal. And sometimes I joke, I'm like, does this go on the business credit card, or is this a personal expense, right? Because there is a really nice, happy blend in the things that we're getting to do together. And it's fun to be able to be in a relationship with someone that also just gets what I'm doing, right? I feel like I always tried to explain what Jeremy did, in electrical engineering, and he would always roll his eyes and say, that's not really what I do, because I didn't really get it. Like, I didn't know what it meant to be like, oh, I'm going to the lab for the day, or I'm working on this project, or we're late on a deadline, or whatever else was coming up at work. Like, I didn't fully get it, but it is nice that I think for the most part, you get it.
Yeah. I mean, we're in it.
We're making it.
We're in it together.
We're
like, when we're coming up with plans, like, we are doing that together. Yeah. So we are both at least well aware of like the overall kind of plans and projects that are happening. Yeah. Maybe not necessarily the minute details of everything, but definitely the overall picture of the business. We are in alignment and know what's going on.
We like to try to be, thanks to ClickUp and our weekly team meeting. Okay, so let's talk about challenges, because I'm sure some people are listening and like, sounds like sunshine and rainbows over there, but really, like, spill the tea. Like, what is really happening behind the scenes? What are the challenges of having a business together, kids together, doing life together, all of those things?
Yeah, I mean, I think this summertime, this stretch, and it was the same last year, but I mean, you're gone speaking for almost 6 weeks straight, like just home for a couple days here and there between trips. So we definitely lose that, hey, I'm going to cover this while you do that, when you're out of town. So, single parenting and then still trying to get work done while kids are home during the summer, and they've had some camps and stuff. So I've had blocks of time, but they're definitely home more during the summer. So that's at least one of the challenging parts for me. I don't really do much business traveling on my own. So
you went on one trip this year.
I did. We did have a mastermind meetup.
Lovely.
Yeah. I mean, it's, it is kind of nice to just get a break from everything every once in a while.
Yeah. No, and I think it is. We're recording this coming off of a stretch. I think I have one more big event to travel to this next week. We're recording this a smidgen early. So by the time you hear this episode, I'll be home. I'll be home. And I'm sure there'll be other things coming up into the fall as we roll into 2025 also. I think I just got my first 2025 booking inquiries. That's super exciting. But it's a lot more work on you when I'm traveling and you're managing kids' activities on your own.
It's kind of flipped.
It's really
because
flipped.
I had to travel, I don't know, like every other month or so, and they were usually shorter trips, 2 to 3 days, but
yeah.
Like I didn't think about it. It was just, that was my job and that's what I had to do. And
yeah.
sorry, you're stuck with the kids, so that part of it is kind of flipped since I left my corporate job.
Yeah. Well, in that season when the kids were little and you were traveling more and you had more concrete work hours and more stress or higher expectations, to hit deadlines and do all those things. And in your job the kids were little. And so I was still working the business, but not working the business on the level that we're working the business today.
Yeah.
So it is kind of interesting looking back. And, I feel like most kids don't remember much like under the age of 6 or 7. So I'm always like, remember, I used to take you to the zoo on Tuesday mornings. And they'd be like, no, we don't remember that.
But they do remember. They remember coming to my work and going to the froyo machine that we had in the cafeteria. That's like their big memory of when Dad used to go to the office.
Yeah, that was. And anytime we drive by a building that's more than 4 floors tall, they're like, look, that's where Dad used to work. And we're like, no, that's not where he used to work.
There's this one building that's like down the 8, like big freeway over by us. And it's huge. It's probably like, I don't know, 30 stories tall, all glass windows all over.
Yeah.
And the building I worked in literally had a handful of small windows on like one side of the building. It was only 2 stories tall. And for whatever reason, they're like, oh, that's where Dad used to work. No.
No, it's not. It's not. So, I mean, there's lots of pictures of me hanging out with them when they were little, and they're going to always remember that.
For
but
sure.
I think it's cool that we're just in a season right now, and it's not like this year around, but there's definitely a good stretch of the summer where the last couple of years I've been traveling a lot, and you're doing a lot more of the kid activity. But that's not what I was going to say for challenges. I'm staying in like nice air-conditioned hotel rooms, getting wine tonight. Not really. It's not that glamorous. I'm battling flight delays in airports, actually. But I was going to say, too, just like any coworker, like we have very different personality types.
For sure.
And we have different approaches to running the business. Jeremy is, no surprise, much more analytical, much more like black or white, numbers based, like right or wrong. And I'm the sales and marketing girl. So I'm like, it's a little bit of gray area. We'll just figure it out as we go. So there's a little bit of that. You definitely have a stronger pulse on the numbers and the projections. And I definitely know how to read a P&L and I know how to do some forecasting. But I think the perfect example of this is, another workcation that wasn't totally a workcation, but on our way back from Hawaii, one of my goals when we were on family vacation this summer was to kind of take a step back from the day-to-day of the business and really reimagine what we want this business to look like and what direction we want to go with it. And that didn't totally happen. I feel like we were pretty much on the go with the kids nonstop, but there was some quiet space in there at different points that we both, caught a quick moment to chat about different things, or 5-hour plane rides help also. But on the way home, we both had talked about some goals that we have around Oh My High and putting a bigger focus on that and what that could look like and how that meshes with the Modern Direct Seller Academy and all sorts of things. And the perfect example is Jeremy's typing away on his laptop, which, by the way, never happens on planes because he's usually sleeping. But he's typing away and he's sitting on one side of the aisle and I'm sitting with the kids on the other side of the aisle. And I have my journal out and I'm writing down some stuff, and I have my phone. I'm doing some numbers on my phone. I was doing some projections and calculations. How many people will we need to get at this level in order to hit this goal, that kind of thing. So about halfway through the flight, I was like, hey, take a look at my notes. And I passed you my journal.
Yeah.
And you were like, I think you just started laughing. And you were like, here, take a look at my laptop. We were basically doing the exact same thing in a totally different way with a completely different approach, and kind of came up with the same numbers.
Yeah. You were definitely more on the like revenue projection side. I was
let's talk about the money.
Yeah. I was looking at it more on like a profitability side, but we did end up very close.
Very close. So yeah, some synergy there. But I mean, I think it is like, being married or having a business or having kids together, whatever it might be. Personality types are different. And in some ways, that's really good. And we really need that. But I mean, we've definitely had moments of, hey, I think we should invest in this, or hey, I think we should spend on that, or let's go all in on this side of the business, or let's cancel this side of the business. And Jeremy balances me out really nicely there.
I was going to say, we don't argue much, but usually when we do, it's something around whether we should spend the money or invest in something or whatever.
I'm the spender.
I'm more conservative.
I'm like, it's fine. I've already manifested that we're going to have 200 new people join the program. We don't have to worry about it. Yeah. And Jeremy's like, you get those 200 people and then we talk.
Right. There's a lot of like, these are my projections. And I'm like, okay, cool. Let's see when we get to this point in those projections, then we can talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Good times. Good times. If you could be on a fly on the wall for that conversation. But I mean, other than that though, I feel like things are pretty smooth sailing.
Yeah.
We have a pretty good flow to things. And, our focus has been on the Modern Direct Seller Academy and serving our corporate clients. And that's still continuing, but we're also layering in this new, exciting, enhanced version of Oh My High that is going to take some of our energy to really get off the ground. And we're both going to have to be involved in that. I mean, obviously, you're doing all the tech and all of that piece, but the marketing and the sales and the way that we're talking about it and the content creation, I'm excited to dive into that, and we'll see how that goes. Do you want to drop any teasers here on what's coming for Oh My High?
Well, I think the big thing that's getting added is the email marketing side. So right now, if you're using Oh My High, right? Because we tell you go to ConvertKit, which we use or recommend, or, whatever email marketing provider you want. And we show you how to integrate that with Oh My High so you can put the forms and stuff on your site. But now it's going to be all rolled in, and we're going to be able to do a lot of that setup and everything for you. So when you join Oh My High or like import the templates or whatever, it's already going to have the automations and the forms and all that stuff kind of created and all the back end all set up and working for you. You really just kind of have to fill in some blanks in the emails to, change it to specific to your business or personality or whatever. So a lot of the email marketing side has always been like the biggest headache and pain point for existing users. They're always just like, can't you just do it, inside of Oh My High? So we're finally going to do that. Yeah, it's a big change, and it'll be a big help for users, helping them get set up and going quickly. So I'm excited for that.
I'm excited too. I mean, it really will be an all-in-one inclusive tool that you're able to use in so many different aspects of your business, and the way the market is changing, and sometimes our visibility on social media isn't where we want it to be. This is going to be a great place to play for those that are really working to build a personal brand and really kind of carve out a space on the internet for people to find you and learn about your products and learn about your business. So I see it as really the future of the way the industry is headed, is in the digital marketing space and having these platforms set up. And so you can really show your true colors and your authentic self, instead of just redirecting people back to a company replicated site. So I am super jazzed for it, and I can't wait to spill even more details
coming soon.
Yeah. All right. Any final words as we wrap up? I feel like we covered it all.
I think we did.
The good, the bad, the ugly.
Yeah. I think we did pretty good.
All right. Well, we'll stay in business a little longer then. Oh my gosh. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. This was such a fun episode. Thanks for being here and
it's fun to be back.
Super close to me and spilling the beans and sharing with everyone all the things of what it's like working together.
Yeah. It's been fun. Thanks for having me back.
Of course. We'll invite you back again. And if you do want to hear a bit more about some of the business tools, the strategies that we've used in our own business, Modern Direct Seller, and how those will relate to you directly in the direct sales field, you're going to have to come join us for our workshop. It's coming up here in just a couple weeks. You can get all the details and save your spot. It's totally free, by the way, over at moderndirectseller.com/workshop. So I can't wait to see you there. It's going to be a great time. And maybe I'll even spill more details about what it's really like to work together without you here. Just kidding. Thanks for being on today. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. We are proud to welcome CintShare as the newest sponsor of the Modern Direct Seller podcast. SynShare is the #1 most trusted social media platform for network marketers, direct sellers, affiliates, independent consultants, virtual assistants, small businesses, and creators in any industry. Start your 30-day trial today with coupon code GAMECHANGER and spend less time posting and more time socializing.